It's Alea Antoine. You're listening to Tease podcast.
Everyone loves the tease. Stop.
But don't get too excited.
24 and I feel like I'm constantly behind in life. Feel that. I see people my age with dream jobs, relationships, and stability, and I can barely decide what I want for dinner. LMAO. How do I start actually feeling good about where I'm at? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tease podcast. Happy Tuesday, bitches. If you'll notice, we are officially recording in the new podcast room. I am so excited about this. It's not all the way together, but the couch is in here. The couch is in here and that's all that matters, but I am not able to do a little pan of the room because trust me, I'm still looking at junk on both sides, but baby steps, baby steps. Plus, what I've been doing to redecorate this room is like me and Kai still had a bunch of stuff to sell from moving. So we're basically redoing this with all the money that we're selling from our other stuff. So I need to get a couple more things out so I can get a couple more things in. But I'm so excited. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you guys. This was not the vision for the room originally. I have to be honest. Originally, the vision that I kind of had was like red and white. Like I thought like mainly white things with like red accents and everything. One, you would be so surprised, well, maybe not surprised, how difficult it is to find anything red, whether it's decor or furniture or anything. Like, I guess people don't really do red for that type of stuff. And so one, I was having a hard time finding literally anything red. I couldn't even find like luxurious red pillows, you know? So I was kind of like, okay, like maybe I got to pivot. Plus when I got this couch, I was like, I feel like red might look weird. And so I thought like a very soft pink would go. And so I guess Tease is in her soft girl era. Like look at this candle that I got that's on the coffee table. Soft girl era. And I swear this was completely unintentional, but I'm honestly liking the way that it looks, especially because I recently realized like your room doesn't have to be the colors of the podcast. Don't ask me how I didn't know that before, but like I am such a type A person that like I just follow like instructions sometimes on accident. Like I got those little meltable chocolates, you know, that you can melt into fondue because we have a fondue maker here. So I got them for Kai and I was like, I know you've been wanting chocolate covered strawberries. So like this would be cute. And then Kai's like, oh my God, these little chocolate melts are so good. And I was like, you can eat those? And Kai was like, yeah, it's just chocolate. Why wouldn't you be able to eat it? And I was like, it's just like not on the direction, so like it never even occurred to me. And that's the same with the room. I was like, it has to be pink and red, but honestly I'm really liking the beige and pink because one, I think the neutralness is really good. I think it's more sophisticated because yes, our living room couches is better, but like the pillows that I had on it they're a little cheap looking. I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm not going to lie in front like I thought that they were the best. Like I love these pillows. And also pro tip, if you're looking for furniture decor, this is not sponsored, but a life hack that a lot of people don't do. Go to Michael's. Michael's has the best deals. They're always sending me emails with $5 off, which makes me go in there a lot. And they're having like a huge sale. I've never paid full price for anything at Michael's. They're always having 30, 40, 50% off. So like if you need decor, if you even need like some furniture, they have fake plants. That's where I get all my fake plants from. I got these pillows from there. I got the candles from there. Like they have good shit. And I only know about it a lot because I was like such an arts and crafts kid growing up. And so I was like, oh my God, like I need to go to Michael's again. And then I discovered like there's this whole other side. Speaking of arts and crafts and soft girl era, guys, I have been watching Meghan Markle's new show, With Love, Meghan. When I say that it is the most soothing, mentally stimulating, no, I wouldn't say mentally stimulating, but like it's just good for your mental health because you can just relax. You're not comparing yourself to her because also like some of the feedback that she got were haters. And let's be honest, we all know that the hate was not from her actual show. It was just people that had been hating her because of like bias and stuff. But some people were saying it's not relatable. I'm a avid reality TV watcher. When I see like a show about rich people, I don't want them to be relatable. Why would I want to see I think she's a duchess. Why would I want to see her being relatable? Like, no, I want to see her doing rich people shit that I can aspire to do someday. Like, I know that everyone is like, we need to be relatable and stuff like that. But hot take, I think if you're relatable, that just like is your vibe. I would say right now Tease is relatable because I be going through it, you know what I mean? But if I became like a princess and everything, would y'all expect it to be relatable? Like, still, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like gauging what you want out of content, but it's just so soothing. It's like just her doing little like crafts and cooking and making her guests feel good and them talking. Like, Mindy from The Office was on it. And then it's just like how to make your apartment feel special. I kid you not, I watched one episode and now I want to make my own bath salts and I really, really need to get this room done. I don't know. It was just, the word is aesthetic. It was a very aesthetic show. I'm only on episode 2, but I just love it. And I love like the crafts part of it because when I was a kid, I was so into arts and crafts and I still like that stuff now. But you know, like sometimes you have like an amazing hobby that you love, but because of life, especially at this age, like you don't get to tap into it. Like maybe you're an artist or a painter and you're so good at it, but you don't have time to do it because you're too busy having to work and pay your bills and then do this and then post this. And so like you kind of like lose sight of your passion sometimes, you know what I mean? And like even watching the show, I was like, wow, like what is my personality? And I don't mean that in like a you don't know yourself way, but I just mean that like we're in a time in life where social media and like trends and influence is so present that I feel like it can be sometimes hard to really like say like what is your personality outside of the things that you're required or feel like you have to do, you know? So like for me, like yes, I have a podcast and I'm really talkative. I post on social media, like I do service industry stuff, but it made me think like watching it was like really like who am I like at my core? Like take away all your responsibilities, take away all outside influence. How would you dress without looking at anyone else? What would your activities be if you didn't have to work or do the things that you feel like you have to do? Who would your friends be if there were no requirements or agenda or backstabbing that happens? What kind of person would you look like? What kind of hair would you have? Would you even have the same haircut that you do now? Speaking of which, like, yes, I did redo the red again. Me and Kai gotta stop with these hair experiments. I'm gonna be honest though, I'm a little bit of a hypocrite only because it is still red. It's called cinnamon red. So it's like a mix of dark brown and red. I'm actually kind of obsessed with it. I kind of like the dark vibe with it because I feel like right now, like I'm just like in a dark slash soft era all at the same time. Like, I don't know. I really, really like it. I've had light hair for so long that I feel like this was a fun change. But I'm not going to lie. One of the things that prompted the change is that I am working on some things on the side and everything. And it kind of required me to tone down my red a little bit. I didn't get rid of it completely because I'm not an actual hypocrite. This is just like lukewarm hypocrite. But yeah, I just felt like I needed to tone down the red for like a couple things that I'm working on. But I also didn't want to like get rid of it because like it's my forever color, you know? Back to the deep shit. But like who really would you be without any, like if we were in the fucking like 20 years, 30 years ago, like who would you be, you know? And I don't know, I just thought that was so interesting because when I was watching the show, I was like, oh my God, I want to be like her. But then I also want to be like this. But then I also want to be like this. And then I was like, what actually, if I just turned off every single device, would I look like? What would my vibe look like? What would I be doing? What would my personality be? What would my hobbies be if I didn't have to work all the time? And I just think that that's kind of like a fun thing to analyze about yourself, not to like drive you into a existential who am I crisis, but just kind of like bring you back to earth. And that way, maybe you won't be so heavily influenced all the time, and it will make you more of an individual, because I feel like I have an individuality complex for sure. So sometimes that helps me out because I'm like, everyone's doing this, so I don't want to do it. Like, the whole reason why I didn't watch Grey's Anatomy is because I was like, everyone watches this, so why would I watch it? But then there are some things to where I'm like, see something and I'm like, I want to do that because she did it, you know? Like, even for myself, me and Kai went out recently, and it's the longest I've been out in so long. I feel like an old lady. We went out for like till 6 a.m. pretty much. We were just like bar hopping, and I got pretty drunk. We did Irish. No, we didn't. Was it car bombs? We did car bombs. The ones with the Guinness and then the shot. Disgusting, nasty. And I was like, it's so funny because I have the side of me that resembles this couch, and then I have the side of me that's like, ah, it has like red hair and stuff. And so yeah, it's just like funny to think about. But not to get too deep on you guys, I'm sorry. Anywho, enough about me. This episode is actually for you because I have a little surprise. I have been saving questions for the past weeks, months, all to do one big tease me questions, stories, advice. You guys, I need y'all to always write in. The link is always going to be in every show. It's in all of our social media bios. Write in your questions, your stories, and your advice. That way we can do little segments at the end of each episode. But I thought that it would be really fun for our 30th episode. Happy Dirty 30 to Tease. Can you believe we're on 30 episodes? I thought it would be really fun to do pretty much an all Q&A episode. And so I've been really like saving the questions. So if you're wondering, I wrote in and I haven't heard an answer, I apologize. I swear I was not ignoring you. I just wanted to save them to do a big thing on this here episode. Let's get into it. Okay, first question. I should work on my posture. Hi, Alea. I'm obsessed with the pod. Thank you. And I completely related to your Dear Diary episode. I'm 24 and I feel like I'm constantly behind in life. Feel that. I see people my age with dream jobs, relationships, and stability, and I can barely decide what I want for dinner. LMAO. How do I start actually feeling good about where I'm at? Okay, this is a very, very relatable and real question. I am going to give you a hot take. I think that we all feel behind in life, which is honestly crazy. But even when you look at people who to you may seem successful, okay, yes, maybe they're more successful than like an average person, but they're probably comparing themselves to other people in their industry who are more quote unquote successful than them. We're all constantly comparing ourselves. It's like I heard that the reason why J-Lo does all these projects is because she still doesn't feel like she's good enough. None of us would think that, but we are our own toughest critics. And honestly, like people will even like DM me sometimes and be like, oh, like you're living your best life, da da da. And the whole time I'm on the couch in a depression spiral. But one thing is that you never know what people are going through on the inside. And social media is also a highlight reel. So if that's where you're getting your inspiration, that everyone's quote unquote doing better than you, I would not compare yourself to what you see on social media because you don't know the backstory. Like social media should be for entertainment, not to just take as real, raw what's happening. You know what I mean? And the thing about relationships, one thing about relationships, I will never compare myself to another person's relationship because you never know how bad it's going. You know how many people are in the most shitty relationships, but on the outside, you can be hanging out with them and they look so happy. Maybe they're gonna get divorced in the future and you have no idea. Like, I don't think relationships are anything to compare yourself to unless like it's people who've been together for like 40, 50 years. So like old people, you know? I think that as far as the job sector goes, I feel this girl, and all I can say about the job thing is like stay true to your passions. And one thing that I don't believe in is like settling for a job that you hate long term. we all have to do jobs to make money to pay our bills, but don't put yourself and make something your career that you know that long term you won't be happy in. So maybe you can just be a customer like service person right now, right? But don't think of that as your long term career. It's just your job. So really like distinguish what everything is serving its purpose for. You know what I mean? And then I also think that one thing that I've been trying to do, because I be playing the comparison game a lot sometimes, the best advice I ever got is don't look to the side. Don't look to the side. Look forward. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you wouldn't get stuff done. Like when I'm recording the podcast, I haven't been on social media all day because I'm like, I don't want to feel bad about myself while recording this. So know when to not look to the sides, learn when to not doom scroll. You have to like shut yourself down and have self-control when it comes to the comparison game. Because what are you trying to do? Hurt your own feelings, you know? And 24 feeling behind in life. I'm 22 going on 23, so I feel you. But you have to think about it from the perspective like a 55-year-old. They would tell us that we're babies and we're young. So just think, I'm only 24. I'm a baby. I'm a teenager that's 24. 24 is just not that old, and people are changing their lives all the time. You never know what's in store for you. Maybe in 6 months, you're about to have it all come together, you know? Next question. Hey, queen, gay person here. How do I flirt and how do I know if they swing this way? That's a very good question. I would say like for me as someone who a lot of people have said I quote unquote look very straight and maybe appearance wise you wouldn't think I'm gay. It's very hard to sometimes know, right? I like to think that there's a lot of sexually fluid people out there. Maybe not everyone's gay, but I know a ton of people where it's like, yeah, but you're pretty sus because every time you drink, you hit on girls, you know? And I would say that the best way to know if someone's gay is to, one, not prejudge anyone and think, oh, obviously this, because you really never know. I would also say the best way to know, like as far as flirting with people, is to go to places that other gay people would go to, because the last thing that you want to do is flirt with a homophobic straight person, especially in this economy. So I would save my just like off the jump flirting for places where gay people would go, like a farmer's market, the thrift shop, an art museum, a gay club, an eclectic bar, a karaoke place. What else do gay people do? Anywhere that has a pride flag on the outside of the building because they probably feel safe. A library, a job where a lot of gay people would work. You know, like when I worked at Hooters, a lot of the girls were gay. Like one thing is like a lot of times gay people travel in packs. I'm not gonna lie. So even if like, let's say someone looks kind of straight to you, but they're hanging out with someone who is very, very obviously queer, then that's safety too. And you can kind of gauge it, you know what I mean? And I think the best way, like if you wanna reduce your risk of flopping, you have to make eye contact first. Eye contact first. Eye contact first. See what eyes they give you. Is it the stop staring at me bitch eyes? Or is it your kind of cute eyes? If you guys make eye contact 3-4 times and it's not on some weird shit, I think it's safe to go up and flirt. And I just like, I would keep it low key. I wouldn't come on too strong. But like, if the vibe is right and it's not awkward and y'all are really feeling each other, like definitely touch the arm. Touch the arm. Don't ask me what the psychology is of it, but like subtly laughing and touching an arm or being like, oh my God, da, 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 or can I get your number, touching an arm. I think that touching an arm, like, I don't know what it is, but like, it works. It works. It works. It works. I promise you it works. Unless they clearly are not interested, then please don't touch the arm because you don't want to get punched. But yeah, I think that that's the best way to do it. Yeah, that's the best way to do it for sure. And then also just, you got to work on your gaydar. Like someone may not think that I'm gay, but then also if you have a good gaydar, you would notice all of my tattoos. undertone of red hair, dangly nose piercing, nipple piercings, and you would pick up the vibe. So like work on your gaydar. Okay, next question. This is so fun. And some of y'all, this one's a whole paragraph. I understand though, because me personally, I can't summarize anything. I am a very like long-winded talker. So like I appreciate it. If you feel like, no, I need to leave you a whole fucking essay on my life, I will read it, because as much as I love y'all and want to answer your questions, I am also a very nosy person. And so I do want to know what's happening. Okay, this one says, "Hi, Alea, love the pod. Thanks. But please go back to weekly episodes." I promise this is only for now, not forever. Anyways, after listening, it seems like you have a lot of friendship breakup experience. Okay, this person's kind of eating me up right now. I feel ate up and not in a good way. Okay, I'm just kidding. I honestly completely agree with both of your statements. Okay, so how do you know when a friendship has run its course? I have a best friend I grew up with since diapers and I love her, but everything just feels ... off. She's constantly making small rude remarks and doesn't celebrate me without also bringing me down. Basically, she low-key hates to see me win, and it's making me hate her. We just don't click the same, and I don't know if it's worth trying or if I'm just scared to let go because it's my longest and I only have a few friendships. Okay, a lot to unpack here, but luckily for you, as you stated, I have a lot of friendship breakup experience, and this experience sounds so similar to one that I went through recently. Okay, so basically, I had a best friend. I might have alluded to her before, but it's basically the one that we fell out whenever I was leaving Texas, and she said that like she felt bad about herself around me. This is who it reminds me of. So I actually had a dream about her the other day that I commented on her photo, but we don't follow each other. So then I was like, oh my God, I completely forgot that we're not friends anymore. Do I delete the comment? Do I leave the comment? Like, anywho, back to the question. But our friendship was just like this. So we weren't friends since childhood. We became friends, I think, freshman year of high school. Yeah, so I knew her since freshman year of high school. We stopped being friends when I was 22. So almost like 7 years. And it was a really great friendship at first. We got along, we had so much fun. Like, I would think that we're just alike. We had some differences, but like nothing too crazy, you know what I mean? I probably was a little bit more extroverted. Okay, no, a lot a bit more extroverted than her. But either way, I felt like we were kind of like in opposites attract and like low-key some similarities. Like even I'm Aries Virgo and she was Virgo Aries, you know? So we had a lot of similarities. When I moved to Seattle, she visited me twice, I believe, and the first visit was so enjoyable. Kai flew her out. We were having so much fun. We went out to dinner together. We partied together for my birthday. Like, it was great, you know? The second time my next birthday comes around, and I had also seen her in Texas in between too. My next birthday comes around and she came for it. And I started to feel exactly how you described of like little comments, you know? And we would FaceTime a lot and they had kind of started there. And then while she was in Seattle, there was just like a lot of little side comments, like just really like, it's one of those things, like I said, to where it's passive aggressive, so it's kind of hard to say exactly what it was, but like a lot of rolling her eyes at me. I like taking pictures, I like doing content, you know, and like just like, oh, do we have to do this? Of course you do this. No, you're gonna do, like, just like a lot of like shade, you know, and I think that we even fought one of the days leading up to my birthday over something stupid, but like it was just kind of like, the vibe was really off, just like how you're saying. And I felt like anything that I kind of bragged maybe about or like was really happy about, she would kind of put down. Like if my friends were all celebrating me, oh, you know that like they didn't seem to do all this, and this, so I don't think it's that good. Like just not to make it long-winded, just doing that, you know? Time goes by, we FaceTime, it's still happening. I'm just like letting it go. I go to Texas. We're supposed to do the pod, and that's how I said like she didn't want to do it and all these things, but she didn't tell me until the very last minute. Like we already had an episode planned that we had both worked on notes together. We had calls about it. We had talked in person about it. We listened to a different podcast to like really catch a vibe, you know? And she didn't cancel on it until the last minute. Oh my God, my legs are shaking talking about this. It gives me anxiety. And at the last minute, she like completely flipped the script. And even though she had been making little comments throughout us hanging out together again, it completely went from little comments to that I don't feel good about myself around you. You know, I really wouldn't want to do this. I've just been pretending because you wanted me to do it and you were pressuring me to do this and all this stuff. Whereas I felt that it was really collaborative, you know? And we talked about it again, and she was very defensive and was like, I have been feeling kind of like not you. Like, I haven't been feeling you lately. And I was like, but you were just in Seattle for my birthday and you were making little digs as well. Like, how long has it been going on? And she was like, I don't think that I really realized it. But looking back, I've been feeling like this since I was at your birthday in Seattle. Like, I don't feel good about myself around you. I don't feel like we click anymore. And you want different things in life than me. For me, I was completely caught off guard because I was like, I would never expect this. However, if I would have paid more attention to the little comments and nipped it in the bud, I would not have felt blindsided because it was a slow burning pot that I actually chose to ignore. And that's something that I should take definite responsibility for, because I should have brought this up right when it started happening. And I should have distanced myself when it started happening instead of trying to cling on closer, which is what I was doing, which probably ended up making her feel suffocated by someone that she doesn't feel she wants to be around that much, you know? And so, as much as it sucks that she kind of initiated it, it also is on you, like it was for me, to nip it in the bud, because you also, again, need to teach people how to treat you. And I think that if I would have called this out earlier and really paid attention earlier instead of just brushing off clearly her feelings, then maybe we would still be friends to this day, because we could have just taken it back, had some space, regrouped in a year or two. But instead, we waited too long to where it was just too many things happen. We had a couple big blow up fights over the same thing over and over. And so ultimately, it doesn't work anymore. You know what I mean? And so the best thing that you can do, I think, is to nip it in the bud right now if you want to have the chance to have a friendship at any time in the future. Because maybe you keep letting this go on, y'all are going to end up having an actual fight that you may not come back from. One thing that I regret is I wish that I would have paid more attention and brought our awareness to our dynamic shifting. That way, maybe we could still be friends at this point. Now it's just too far gone. Like, that's never going to happen. But for you, you still have a chance to do it, especially if y'all have been friends for like years, like since y'all were born. You know what I mean? That would be my advice to you. And like my advice to anyone, whether it's friendships or relationships, you know, like, don't let the little things fester, because trust me, the little things are actually what ends up blowing up a relationship. A lot of people can get past big disagreements, big fights. I didn't like this because it's a one-time thing. It's a one-off thing. You know what I mean? But little transgressions that happen throughout are what builds up to like hatred. It really is. Just like you said, you're starting to hate her and you think she's starting to hate you. That question kind of triggered me, but like not in a bad way. I think that was like literally just therapy for me, because I don't think that I'm a perpetual victim in these friendship breakups. Like, I know that I also play a part, and like that was definitely my part that I played in the disintegration of that friendship. Okay, next one. Hi, girly. Love Tease. I love you too. So you said you grew up in private school, and same. Hashtag religious trauma. Hashtag how do I stop feeling guilty for being sexual? This is a good point. That's a good point. I, to be completely honest, I've always been kind of, feel like a sexually free person, both appearance and personality wise. It's just kind of who I am, you know what I mean? I would say that some things that helped me feel more comfortable with that though was one, cutting off everyone from my school. Like, I don't really talk to people that I grew up with at all. I don't talk to people from middle school. I don't talk to people from high school. Maybe one, two people. But, like, for the most part, I think it's really freeing because I feel like I can do and present myself however I want. And I'm not thinking about how people that I grew up with feel about it, you know? It's so crazy how, as humans, people that technically were just a little sliver of your life, like high school's 4 years, growing up is like from when you're 5 to 12, you know? And for some reason, no matter what age you get, you're thinking about their opinion of you. Like, you're 45 and you're like this bitch from high school. You're 50 and you're like this bitch from high school. I'm 22. I already got out of college and I'm thinking about a bitch from high school, you know? And so what really helped me is like really like silencing all of that. And I didn't go around blocking people, but like I just don't engage. I don't really like chit chat. Like, I'm just not a part of any of their lives anymore, and they're not a part of mine. So that really helped because then you're not feeling judged by the people who also are like that. And honestly, like, this is a little, I don't even know like how to really talk about it, but like I did have like religious trauma from private school, which like I don't want to get into, but it was just very overbearing. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I distanced myself from everything a little. And I don't know how I feel about that because I haven't gone to therapy or anything for it. But I did distance myself from everything that reminded me of private school, you know? Like, I would still consider myself a person of faith and everything, but like, I don't actively participate in really anything that has to do with it. And it doesn't mean that I've changed who I am or I've changed what I think, but I think that I just needed a break. Like, I needed to think for myself and not feel so judged by preconceived things that I was taught for a long time. So, I'm not saying that you should do the same thing, but I think creating space between you and whatever's triggering you or whatever's making you feel judged could be beneficial, but only for whatever that means to you. You don't have to do it exactly how I did it. I don't even know if I would actually recommend that. Okay, that was really deep. Whoa, y'all are making me feel all the things. My legs are twitching. Oh my God. Okay. We have two more questions. This is so much fun. I really love you guys for writing these in so we can make this episode really special. And I love it. I love how it's about you guys. And I hope that even if you didn't write in a question, maybe you're relating to some of these. You're like, that's exactly what I would have asked. Okay. It's in all caps. I don't want to scream at y'all. How the fuck do I become the person I want to be? I feel like I always play it safe because I don't want to fail or embarrass myself. But I also know that I'm holding myself back. How do I actually take risks and stop being scared? I see people like you doing things like solo dates, solo travel, going out alone, and just living your best lives. And I want that energy, but I get so anxious doing anything alone. How do I get comfortable with it? See, this is another thing too where I'm like, don't say that I'm living my best life. I mean, there's great things about my life, but I don't think I'm at my best life at all yet. Um, but I feel like this is very, very, very common and relatable because I promise you, as much as I feel like I push myself out of my comfort zone a lot, there's a lot of times where I go back into hiding. You know how many times that I'm trying to make reels for this podcast, I literally physically and mentally feel like I can't because I feel embarrassed or I feel like I'm being judged. Like, I'm not constantly confident or constantly out there. I'm a majority of the times like that, but there's a lot of times where I go back into my shell and I'm like, I can't record, I can't post, I can't do this, I can't do this. And so it's a wave. It's nothing. I don't personally don't know anyone who consistently just feels comfortable putting themselves out there, whether it's online or in person. It's more like forcing yourself. It really is. It's like a split personality. Half of me is like, go out there, post whatever, who gives a fuck? And the other half of me feels so embarrassed and like I'm going to be judged. So I completely relate to this, but I think that the best thing that you can do is one, have encouragement from other people if you can, whether it's your parents, friends, relationships. Tell them the things that you want to do and hear words of encouragement from them. That really helps me. Kai motivates me a lot. When I don't feel like working on the pod because I feel shy, I just think about the fact that Kai believes in me and Kai helped invest in me, honestly. And so why would I want to let them down? You know what I mean? Tell people what you want to do and it kind of forces you to keep going. Like, I want to do XYZ. I want to post content. I tell you guys this stuff. So a part of me kind of can't back out because I already proclaimed it. So I think telling people your plans and getting other people involved and just mentally building yourself up for it works. And I think that we also have to think that like no one really cares about us. No one cares about us as much as we think people do. No one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck unless you're like top of the A-list celebrities, you know what I mean? But like no one is thinking about you that hard, I promise. Especially going out and doing things alone, no one is judging. I went to the Mean Girls premiere alone. I was gonna go to another live podcast show alone. I got other plans. But like sometimes you have to do things alone because there's no one else to go with you too. Like I would never not go to something that I wanted to go to simply because I didn't have someone to go with me. I would never make myself miss out on experiences because I didn't have someone else to go with me. You know what the pro is of going alone? Is that you'll never look back at those pictures and think, fuck that bitch that's with me. So you gotta push yourself. You gotta push yourself. And the only thing worse than feeling embarrassed or shy is feeling how you're currently feeling. Anxious and like you're holding yourself back. That's the worst feeling. That really is. Okay, last question. I recently started dating again, and I think I've become too comfortable being alone. I love my independence, but now I feel like I'm too independent? Question mark. Like I don't even know how to let someone in. What do? I don't want to be desperate, but I don't want to be alone forever. Plus, I'm sick of my vibrator. That's a good one. Okay, so you feel like you're too independent and that you can't let people in. I am going to tell you the best tip ever. If you feel like you can't let someone in, they're just not your person. I think that as long as mentally you are open to finding someone, it will happen and it will work with you. Because when I met Kai, I personally am like one of the most, I have a hyper independence problem. It's not that I'm like just independent on my own. I actually like have a hyper independence problem. I have trouble not being independent. I have trouble asking for help. Like I have trouble not doing things alone. You know what I mean? So like I feel this to my core. And the thing that I will tell you is because I used to be like, oh, I just can't really talk to this person. I can't be vulnerable. They seem cool, but like I still have a guard up. It's very rare that the right person comes along and you will still feel that way and you will still have those walls up. You know what I mean? I think the great part about you feeling independent is that you're not looking, and that's when things can happen. It's so corny, but it's so true. If you are desperately looking, you might end up dating the wrong person. I think don't be too hard on yourself, and as long as you're mentally open to the idea, trust me, when you meet the right person, your walls are going to slowly start to tumble down, no matter how independent you may think you are. So I just wouldn't be too hard on yourself. Put yourself out there. But if you feel like this just isn't working, it's not you, it's y'all's dynamic. It's just not working and it's not your fault. And it's not an independence problem. It's just that it's not working. Oh my God, that was so much fun. That was so much fun. Please write in more questions so we can do this all over again, or maybe do it like after each episode. I want this to be a reoccurring thing because this podcast is really not about me. This podcast is about you guys. And I love you guys so much. Can y'all please rate the podcast 5 stars on Spotify and Apple? Those are my main two things. Please be sure to also rate, review, subscribe on YouTube, follow the pod on social media at Tease Pod, on Instagram at Tease Podcast, on everything else. I am at Alea Antoine, and I will see you guys next Tease Tuesday. I love you guys. Bye.